Hey everyone, welcome back to the American Justice Podcast, episode 24, The Trial, Part 3.
24.
Man,
can you believe it?
That is so, God, man, it just seems like yesterday we're like, hey, you want to do a podcast?
Really, if we didn't extend it with the 2 episodes for the trial, and now as I announced this week, the new episode for the closing arguments, like we'd be 1 episode away from the end. Like 25, I think, was our original number. So.
No, instead we're treating it like the Dallas Stars in the playoffs this week.
Right.
Jeez.
Keep it going.
God.
So is this technically like, what are we in, Game 6 now?
This tomorrow night would be Game 4.
Game 4.
Well, it still is going to be Game 4, but we've won 1 and Tampa Bay has won 2. It's a best of 7 series, so it's at least going to, well, it could at least they have a game on Friday, they have a game on Saturday.
So it's 4 out of 7. So it's a 7-game series, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll be 2-2. I guess that's
that would be nice.
All right. I guess that's letting everybody know that we're taping the episode on Thursday this week instead of Tuesday because we had a little bit of technical difficulties.
Right.
Some people might have noticed we didn't actually put out the episode until Tuesday night. It's one of those things where computers just don't cooperate like you want them to sometimes, as you well know with your laptop. So I ended up actually having to format my whole laptop and record everything again. I actually had it recorded, and I couldn't. I'm mighty upset, but we're moving on.
Yeah, that's right.
This week will be out on time.
Yeah, my laptop died on me a couple of months ago, and I couldn't do Butterflies Make Me Angry podcast for 6 whole weeks. So,
oh, man.
And then when I finally came back, I read one of my books. Those poor people.
Those privileged people.
Whatever, man. I'll tell you what, the reviewers are really... Starving Zoe is it's my newest work that came out about a week ago. It's very divisive. It is the last Jedi of the splatter Western series.
Your freaking reviewers are a bunch of pansies.
I agree.
I can say that because, I'm not the author, but that way it's, it's not like a scorned author. It's like somebody looking from the outside like, you guys are a bunch of pansies.
I've started a hashtag called Cry Me a Review.
Nice. I like it.
So, if you're into the extreme stuff, buy a copy of Starving Zoe. If you're not into the extreme stuff, don't buy it. And if you're dumb enough to buy it and read it, don't do me a favor and don't review it. Or do review it. Write the worst review you can think of because extreme fans are looking at it like a Surgeon General's warning.
Right.
Like, nobody really wanted to smoke a cigarette until they put that Surgeon General's warning on the pack, right?
It's dangerous for you?
Right. Kids love that. So it's selling well, though. It's selling well.
That's awesome.
It stayed at number 1 for like 4 or 5 days, and then now it's been out for a week. It's still in the top 20 Amazon. Nice. So, Starving Zoe. I personally love it. So, like I said, if you like it rough, get you a copy. If you don't, get you a copy anyway and give it to someone who likes it rough. Or put it on the back of your toilet and make all your guests think that you're classy. That's one of the two.
Or like you have guests over that you don't really know that well. They're like friends of friends, and then you just scare the hell out of them.
Yeah.
They're like, we got to go. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you really got to read this. Seriously. Let me read some out loud.
Right. Okay, we're gonna go. We also need to talk about. We have an elephant in the room, or a ranger in the room.
We do have a ranger in the room.
Scott is wearing the Ranger Collins Does It With the Lights Off T-shirt that you can get at ajpodcastmerch.com.
He does do it with the lights off.
That's what I've heard.
That's what. Well, I just speculate at this point, but that's what I do well.
One of my favorite things that you wrote for this episode was handing the jury out a black piece of paper and like, don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, this is just a picture of Ranger Collins doing it with the lights off. Sometimes, it's funny. People may not realize, but when I'm reading the script and I'm, telling the story, like a lot of those, some laughs are kind of like, okay, well, that kind of belongs there. But some of them are like, I can't believe he wrote that.
Oh, Jeff. Somewhere Jeff Collins is listening.
Jeff Collins.
He is listening somewhere.
What a character.
Going, dope.
I feel like we couldn't even, if we were writing a novel, like we couldn't even write a character this crazy,
No, you couldn't, because like whoever wrote like the Andy Griffith Show would probably sue you.
Well, it's like one of those things where it's like, people reviewing it would be like, this author has the Texas Ranger filming the crime scene with the lights off. That's not believable at all. Why the hell would he even write that? That's crazy.
1 star, did not like.
Unbelievable.
I know. God.
And we're like, no, this is real life. We swear.
Jeff Collins, if you are listening and watching, and we know you are, come on.
Hello, Jeff.
We know that you know.
We know that you know.
Other people have told you, we're sure. We know that you know, and we know that you listen, and we know that you watch. Feel free to call in anytime and explain. We would welcome it with open arms.
That's right. We'd like to know why you do it with the lights off.
The offer is on the table, but you can't see it because the lights are off.
Here's a black piece of paper, ladies and gentlemen.
It's his prom photo. The girl told me he did it with the lights off.
Oh, my.
Okay. Let's get to some questions here.
I think we do have some questions. We actually have 5 questions.
We do have 5. We have 5 questions. This comes from Shirley from Dallas.
Shirley, you must be kidding.
No, I'm not. And don't call me Shirley.
One of the greatest movies ever.
I know. It's
all right,
great stuff. I know.
I think of that every time I hear the name Shirley.
I do too. All right. Who made the appointment for Brandon to get his hair bleached? Was this some random person? Had some family member used this person before? Or was it a referral from a friend? It just seems odd that she, Pam Hoffman, was also a friend of one of the shit kickers.
It is odd.
It is.
And it's also one of those things that it's odd that nobody knew about it until I started looking into it.
It's crazy how that works, isn't it?
It's like, nobody ever said, and all of the people that I talked to about this case, no one ever said, hey, that Pam, the one that testified against Brandon, like she knew one of the shit kickers. You know that, right? Like nobody ever said that. I had to find out through my own investigation. And I was like, when I first heard that, I was like, because I was trying to basically understand why she was testifying to this crazy stuff. Like, so I finally, I found out what it was, and then it just all made sense. I was like, okay, well, now that makes sense.
Did they know each other ahead of time, or was
yeah,
like this
they had known each other for years? Like
it wasn't a love connection in the courtroom.
No.
Okay.
So I found out that that Pam was friends with one of the shit kickers. Everything made sense, and who made the appointment for Brandon to get his hair bleached? I'm not sure about that, actually. I'd have to ask Brandon or somebody, or Bonnie, somebody that actually made the appointment. I had never actually thought of that before, or thought to ask that question, who made the appointment. I just know that, we're talking about Rockwall, right? We're talking about Texarkana. We're talking about, some pretty small cities. So
yeah, that's about the, like 160-mile trip between Rockwall and Texarkana.
If I'm not mistaken, I think what happened was she went to school in Rockwall, and then she moved to Texarkana.
What a downgrade!
Yeah, is it?
Rockwall's not a bad place, really. It's not. I know it's Rockwall County is the smallest county in the state of Texas, but that place, I remember being a kid way back. I remember being a kid in Rockwall. You drove through there on Interstate 30 on your way to Dallas.
Right.
And there was a couple of flashing lights, a Mexican food restaurant, and a small movie theater. And then I guess in the last 25 years, that place has just exploded. Yeah. Same thing with the Royce City, but not as much.
I think it's when
exploded.
People kind of wanted to live in the Dallas area, but not like in Dallas. So the richer people, the one that had more money, started, I think, moving
right. Well, you
there.
get more bang for your buck out there too. So,
especially with the lights off.
With the lights off, yes. Hi,
Maybe that new T-shirt.
I'm Jeffrey Collins.
They do it with the lights off in Rockwall.
I know where your light switch is.
I'm not going to take fingerprints or look for any blood on it, but I do know where it's at.
Wow.
So anyways, Shirley, we'll have to get back to you on that as to who actually made the appointment. But I don't know if it was a referral from a friend. I don't, that's one of those subjects that I'm not 100% sure about, like the whole kind of how the appointment got made.
If she went to school, I mean, I'm pure speculation. If she went to school there and she graduated around the same time as those guys, Charla was there at the appointment. Maybe it was her that made the recommendation. Maybe she went to school with
Right, that's what I'm saying. Maybe I need to look into this a little bit more. Thank you, Shirley, for giving me more work. I appreciate that, but I will look into it for you.
I'll when this episode is over, I'll call Charla and I'll ask her.
Okay, I want to see how that goes.
Charla, if you're listening and you're watching, and we know you are,
I know you are.
Go ahead and hit me up, girl. Give me that phone. Give me them digits, and I'll ask you some questions.
I wonder if Charla does it with the lights off.
I'll have to ask her when this episode is over.
We'll have a new T-shirt.
Yeah.
Charla and Ranger.
Can you imagine that one picture, that one social media picture of her that you use in the documentary on the front of a T-shirt?
Oh no!
It'd scare the hell out of children.
Yeah, people would just run, children would definitely just run away.
Anyway, Charla,
screaming.
Call me, girl. 972-942-0444. Mm-hmm. You know what's up.
Let us know if you do it with the lights off.
Shirley from Dallas. I got Charla on the brain now. You were living rent free
in my brain.
All right, Shirley from Dallas. Thank you very much for your question. We'll continue to look into that.
Yes, we will.
Question number 2.
Speaking of the devil.
Yeah, speaking of Charla, we don't write these questions, Charla. People write these in to us. Okay, we just want you to know this.
Yeah.
But you're on my mind, girl. You know what's up. All right. Charla claims that her parents never did anything for her. Cue the sad music.
Oh.
What does she think? What does she think bringing cleaning supplies and cleaning her apartment was for? Wasn't that doing something good for Charla? Doesn't that show her parents loved and cared for her? Charla brought this up in court and also brings the murder case back to all about Charla.
Jennifer from Irving is going to have to work on her grammar.
Jennifer from Irving was like speed typing.
Right.
She was just... Anyway.
So Charla brought this up in court, also brings this murder case back to all about Charla.
Okay.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
I can't imagine. I'm a parent. I'm not going to go clean my kid's dorm room. Mm-hmm. Plus it's a dorm room. It's supposed to be nasty. But I mean, then again, how nasty was it?
Well, she also had 2 roommates. So it's like, what were they doing?
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, didn't she had just gotten out of the hospital. She had some kind of meningitis or something. I don't know much about many people, but I know more about Charla Woodruff than I do like my 2 best friends growing up. I'm just saying this is ridiculous. I've never met her face to face, and I know more about this girl.
Well, that's because everything that she says is all about her.
Oh, that's
her whole interview. Her first interview, for sure, was all about her. The second interview was more about, hey, this is why I think my brother's guilty. But then, even in that, and even in her testimony, yeah, it's all about. And as we'll get to in the episode with the closing arguments and the verdict, even the victim impact statement is all about me. Like, how could you do this to me, Brandon? How could you, it's not, how could you kill our parents? Like, they'll never get to do this. They'll never get to do that. It's Well, I don't want to give away too much, but
Right.
it's all, they're not going to attend my wedding and they're not going to do this for me. And it's just, Shirley or Jennifer is completely correct. Everything is all about Charla.
Do you know what her grandkids are going to call her?
Oh, no.
They're going to call her Mimi because it's all about me.
All about me.
Me.
Okay.
You know what my kids call my mother?
What?
Mimi.
Mimi. it's your. Never mind. But anyways, Charla never. I mean, to her credit, she doesn't just say like flat out in the trial like my parents never did anything for me. But she did make it out where it's like they liked Brandon more, and Brandon was their favorite child, and he could get anything he wanted, and all I got was this, credit card and this gas card and, all that stuff. So it wasn't like she said, my parents were a bunch of deadbeats and never did anything for me. It wasn't like that at all. But it was definitely showing, you could see, in my opinion, that jealousy of Brandon and how Brandon was the golden child and, they loved him more than her and, all of that type of stuff. It definitely came out in the trial and in the interviews and all of that.
Yeah, they gave Brandon a truck and a credit card, and all I got was this lousy Ranger Collins T-shirt.
We'll give her a T-shirt if she wants one.
Yes, Charla, if you would like a T-shirt with Ranger Jeffrey Collins' likeness on it, feel free to call us at 972-942-0444. We'd love to hear your voice.
Well, we have to, so if she puts in a question, we'd have to send her a free bumper sticker.
We would have to send her a free bumper sticker
and a T-shirt.
But then we would know her address.
Oh.
Unless she has a P.O. box.
Or we could send it to her grandma's house and she could pick it up
We could send it to your grandma's house and you could pick it up there. Or we could just leave it here and you could come pick it up from here.
Oh, no, she cannot.
I would love to have a face-to-face conversation with you, Charla Woodruff. Or Charla, whatever your last name is.
You can meet her at Denny's or something.
Was it Denny's or IHOP? All the shit kickers all hung out at like IHOP.
They hung out at IHOP, but then Denny's is where they met right before they went out to the club.
Right,
so either one.
I will not meet you in Texarkana, though. Because only slow people live in Texarkana.
Or Greenville.
Or so I've heard. I have a different ringtone for the people in Texarkana.
That was a funny that was a funny thing about the Pam Hoffman's testimony. Like, why did that stick out in your mind? And Brandon said, I think people in Texarkana are slow.
He said people from Texarkana are slow. And ma'am, where are you from? Texarkana.
Texarkana.
Your Honor, I rest my case.
I mean, we can't disparage everybody in Texarkana because we love all of our fans in Texarkana.
It is actually, if you can get off the interstate and get down into the downtown area, it's a very interesting city with a really cool history. Some cool buildings down there. So, I said something nice about a place. Can you believe it?
I cannot believe it.
Holy shit on a shingle.
It's a miracle.
Jennifer, thank you very much for
letting us go off.
For letting us go off there for a while. We're going to take a quick break, have a word from our sponsor, and we will be right back. Stick tight.
I don't suffer from insanity. I enjoy every minute of it. Did you know it's illegal for donkeys to sleep in bathtubs in Arizona? Also, to the guy who invented Zero, thanks for nothing. These are just a few examples of some of the great mugs you can get at goodmonkeymugs.com. With same-day shipping on all orders placed before 3 p.m., your new mug will be at your doorstep in no time. Don't know what to give that coworker for their birthday? Or just want to brighten someone's day with a funny or inspirational quote? GoodMonkeyMugs.com is the place for you. And if you use the code AJARMY, your first mug is half price. Again, that's GoodMonkeyMugs.com. You'll go ape for our mugs.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the American Justice Podcast, episode 24, The Trial, Part 3.
Part 3.
Oh, we hope everybody's having a good time so far. We hope we're answering some questions that you may have, and we've got a few more to go. Why don't we get started with Cue the Music?
Oh, do we have a Debbie from Plano? All right, here we go.
Love this chick.
Debbie from Plano, she writes in every week. She believes in Brandon's innocence, it's justice that she seeks.
We're white.
Love to
This is the
hear
most
her
we can
thoughts,
dance.
her wrath we won't incur.
We're sorry.
We need more listeners just like her.
Yes.
apologize for my whiteness.
That'll be the second time this week. No.
Yes, that'll be the second time this week that I've apologized for my whiteness. Debbie from Plano asks, what did the body language expert say about William Pardun's interview with Ranger Collins? I'm sure she didn't say it like that, but I remember William Pardun personally.
Really?
And yes, I do.
I think you could probably give us some more insight because I never actually had the body language expert look at this interview. Just because when I looked at the interview, it was pretty much, he just kind of sat there like this the whole time. He didn't really move around much. There wasn't a lot of body language.
William Pardun was, not only did I know him from the Hunt County Sheriff's Department, my employment there, he was also one of my neighbors for a very, very short time in the good old town of Greenville, Texas.
Greenville?
And I mean, the dude, I don't know if the dude was a used car salesman or not. I think he might have worked at a car lot. You know, he might have been the detail guy, but I don't know if he was a salesman. But
Catherine Ferguson said he was.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
She was like, you lie for a living, right?
Yep.
Yep.
William Pardun was a lifer. I mean, he in and out of the Hunt County Jail. And I started working for the Hunt County Sheriff's Department in 2002 as a juvenile officer, and then moved over into the adult system in 2004, and I stayed there until 2013. William Pardun was in and out of there the entire time from 2004 to 2013. He was a trustee, so he was always out of his cell, out working, just basically all up in your business, because that's what trustees do with officers, is they're all up in your business. I wouldn't have believed a damn word this guy said. Honestly, when I didn't even know until I began writing these episodes that William Pardun had offered testimony. And I do remember when William Pardun and Brandon were in that medical tank together. The way the medical tanks were set up is you have one door, and it opens up into like a small hallway, and then it has 4 individual cells that have their own individual doors that are controlled by the control board inside the Hunt County Jail. So when those guys want to, they can just shut their door or ring their buzzer and have it open, whatever. But for the most part, all their doors were open, and the 4 people that were in those rooms were kind of allowed to, do their own thing. Right. And I know that Brandon wasn't put in there for any type of medical reason. I know when Brandon was incarcerated, right about the time of the trial, the Hunt County Jail was at overflow capacity. And if
imagine that.
And with Brandon's, I guess, status, the crime that he was being accused of, he was what they would call a max inmate, which is, your murders, your aggravateds, your stuff like that.
You got to protect all those other inmates from that 19-year-old gay kid.
Or if you were a multiple felon, you were also considered a max. And William Pardun was a multiple felon. So he was a max as well. And I believe Brandon was having some trouble in the quote-unquote murderer tank, what the officers called it, the murderer tank.
Right.
He was having some problems in there with a couple of inmates being bullied, being abused, things like that. So they moved him into that medical tank for his own safety. Now, what the hell William Pardun was faking to be in that medical tank, I do not know. But I do know that Brandon did what they call kited him out with a piece of paper. That's a form that if you have a grievance against another inmate or an officer, the inmates call it a kite.
Right.
I guess because it's a piece of paper. I don't know.
You can just throw it.
Yeah, you can just do that. But Brandon got William Pardun like as far away from him as possible because Pardun was a snitch and he was all around bad seed. Like I said, he was a lifelong inmate, and he couldn't get along with anybody. He couldn't keep trustee status, but for some reason he kept becoming a trustee. I don't know. When you're chomping at the bit to run upstairs and give testimony to investigators, you got to wonder what you're doing behind the scenes for those investigators.
Right.
But no, I do remember William Pardun very well, and he was a liar and a fat mouth and a lifelong criminal, And I don't know why the hell his testimony meant shit in this trial.
Well, unfortunately, I mean, and Catherine brought a lot of that out, but the biggest thing that she brought out was that, you know, he had already had 4 or 5 felonies, like you said, and he got probation for the felony that he was in the Hunt County Jail with Brandon.
Of course he did.
But the prosecutor said, no, we didn't give him a deal. He even said, no, I didn't get a deal for my testimony. Well, I don't know what you call probation when you're a 5th-time felon, but interesting story about him. He actually, of course, got probation and then violated that probation with another felony. And then I think he actually committed like 2 more felonies or something, like right together. Anyways, he ended up getting 75 years in TDC. So he is currently in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, and he is probably never going to get out. He's probably 60-something now and probably has another 60 years left on his sentence. So,
yeah, he's a winner, and that's the bad thing about working for the Hunt County Sheriff's Department is that, I mean, Hunt County is big, but it's sparsely populated, and everybody lives in little communities such as Greenville, Commerce, Quinlan, West Tawakoni. West Tawakoni would be the world's worst. Campbell, Wolf City, Celeste, things like that. Everybody lives in these little pockets. And the officers and the inmates on the outside pretty much live side by side sometimes. I had that same scenario play out time and time again. I know the rest of them do. And, I mean, a lot of them probably grew up together as well. And deputies, investigators, jailers. They all either, you know, grew up together or live near each other or interact with each other on a day-to-day basis because you have to go shopping and, you know, you want to go out to bars or whatever, and you know these people.
Right.
And, I mean, who's to say what the hell was promised to him behind the scenes that was off paper?
Right.
So, and that's just it. That's life in Hunt County. So,
well, I mean, all we can do is kind of, you know, capitulate about what he said, or what they did, but you know, because we don't know. It's not on paper. It just happenstance. You know,
let me tell you,
it looks very.
Let me tell you how much William Pardun has stuck out in my mind all these years because I've been away from the Hunt County Sheriff's Department for 7 years now, going on 8, and I was like, wow, that name really looks familiar. And then I listened to his voice. I didn't look at the screen, but I heard his voice, and I'm like, oh my God, I remember that guy. Just from his voice, I remembered that guy.
Wow.
Because he never shut up. He was one of those people that would just talk and talk and talk and talk until you just want to go, oh my God, will you please shut your mouth? And people that talk that much are usually liars.
Right.
They're
saying a lot, but not saying anything.
They have so much shit to talk about because they're making it all up. And that's William Pardun.
Right.
You could say the same thing about me, but I'm a writer. I have to tell lies for a living.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this guy was trying to tell lies as the truth. That's the problem. I mean, he's by all accounts, he's a piece of shit. So.
That is true. And enjoy the Texas Department of Corrections for the rest of your life, sir.
So anyways, Debbie, sorry about the not getting. I mean, you know, I can't get Susan Constantine to look at every single person in this case's body language because that would just take her forever. But this one, I didn't really. I mean, there's so much impeachable stuff towards William Pardun that it really doesn't even. We know he's lying, and when you know, but I will say. The whole part about the wooden handles asking if it would float, that was the truth. Brandon did ask him that.
I'm curious myself.
Well, and if you notice from the clip that I played, and I don't know, maybe we'll put the whole interview up on the YouTube site, but William actually says to Brandon, when they say, you know, Brandon tells William, says, hey, you know, they're saying that it was this revolver. And William actually says to him, oh, well, revolvers got wooden handles, you know, blah, blah, blah.
But anyway, back to the gun deal. I was really intrigued about the gun because, first, it wasn't no spent cartridges, is what he said. And then, you know, I said, well, you know, if I was a shooter and I was going to do something with it, you know, what would you do with the gun? I said, I'd throw it in a lake or something like that, you know. And then that's when he said, well, I was in Plano. And I said, well, yeah, down and throw it in the lake when you went across the bridge. He just shut up and didn't say nothing. We got back to talking, and then he asked me out of the blue. He said, Would a gun with wooden handles float?
Well, of course, that gets Brandon's mind running, and he's thinking, "Oh man, if there was a wooden handles, would this thing float? Like, can they go out and find it?" He's thinking it's maybe a lead that'll help lead to the person that did this. And of course, because he didn't know anything about guns, he had no idea that it would that it would just sink straight to the bottom. But
Right.
I never understood why the prosecution thought that this was suspicious, because, like I said, number one, William was the one that told him that it was a revolver with wooden handles, and his attorneys had told him that it was, this revolver that, who knows if they discussed whether or not it had wooden handles, but
Yeah, because I've owned 2 revolvers in my life. 3. I've owned 3 revolvers, and none of them had wooden handles. So, just...
but when you think about like the old Western, revolver,
the Old West,
it's got the
1943, the Old West,
the Wild Wild West,
Wild West of 1943, a freaking Ruger.
Right.
You want to be cowboy, you want to be redneck. So
Mike
disappointed, so disappointed when I read that. I was really hoping that it was like a Billy the Kid style revolver.
The one that he had was a Colt 45. It was a replica of a Colt 45, but the guy, the ballistics expert, if you want to call him that, he was the one that was supposing that it was a Ruger. But the one that Mike actually had was a Colt 45.
Okay.
So yeah. So and that's just another. But there's really there's no kind of, I guess, disputing the fact that, like, neither side disputes that this was probably the gun that was used, the gun / art piece. The only difference is who had access to it. Well, the prosecution would lead you to believe, well, Brandon was the one that had the most access to it. When we delve into it and actually do an investigation, we realize that it was actually the shit kickers that had a lot more access to it.
Right.
I mean, Mike was sleeping in Morgan's room while she was in another part of the house.
Get it, girl.
So, he could very easily have just, realized, okay, I need a gun, and, put it out in his car while everybody's sleeping. I mean, he had hours and hours and hours. The Lees weren't even there. And the most that Brandon had was, according to Morgan, 45 minutes when she was showering. But Brandon says it was more like 20 minutes. But it doesn't really matter. I mean, how are you going to sneak a Colt 45 out in your belt? I mean, it's just...
Look, I stick by my story. I think if we asked Mr. Lee what his favorite Western was, he would say Back to the Future Part 3.
Right.
So...
All right, Mr. Lee, you need to come on and defend yourself.
1945 is not the Wild Wild West. So...
All right.
Debbie from Plano. Thank you for your
Debbie.
question. We go on to Charles from Cleveland.
Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland, not bad.
Yeah.
I enjoy their baseball team.
You do? You're the one.
I'm the one. Well, and it's not because of the baseball team. It's because of the Charlie Sheen film, Major League.
Right, the Indians,
yeah.
of course.
Okay. Damn, Charles is going to go right for the gut. First thing out the gate. Is Charla schizophrenic? She seems to have 2 different voices in her 2 interviews with Ranger Sergeant Collins, as well as not remembering what she said in those interviews until the brilliant Catherine Ferguson had her read her quotes from the interview. Catherine Ferguson, you have a fan from Cleveland, Ohio.
Catherine will be very happy that you referred to her as brilliant. And I agree with you. But is Charles schizophrenic? I think Charles needs to go back and listen to the episode that we did about Charles and Charla.
Charles in charge. Charla in charge.
Charla in charge. No, it's Mike that was in charge.
I have another T-shirt idea.
Oh, no. So anyways, Charles needs to go back and listen to the episode about Charla's psychiatric background, and you'll see.
Yes.
She definitely everybody that I've talked to, everybody that knew her said that she had 2 different sides to her. It was, it was either the meek, kind of demure Charla that was trying to kind of play coy, and then there was the one that was coming out with her forceful opinions and, trying to put her brother in jail. And so there was definitely these 2 different sides. Plus, as you're pointing out, during her testimony, she's saying stuff that she completely different than what she said in the interviews with Ranger Collins. And this all goes back to the fact that she had those 2 interviews, and they could not be more different. Remember, the first interview was more, I don't know who did this. This is absolutely crazy. This you need to look at Mike Etherington. You need to all this. Look at the Ku Klux Klan, all of that stuff. And then the second interview, within 10 seconds, Ranger Collins said, "Do you think your brother is responsible?" And she said, "Yeah."
Yep.
So they're 2 completely different interviews, and the biggest mystery here is what happened in those 3 days between the 2 interviews that caused Charla to change her position. And and I think that what happened was that she changed her position, and then she stuck with that. So then when they got her to trial, she's trying to paint that narrative that Brandon's guilty, trying to assassinate his character. And, of course, Catherine catches her and says, "Well, wait a second. When you first talked to the Rangers, you said this." So that's what it all comes down to. Is she actually diagnosed as schizophrenic?
I don't know.
No.
All the high school boys from Roy City back in 2005 said she had 2 sides as well. She had a front side and a back side. Yeah.
What was her actual I think she was it. I remember we were talking about she said it.
Diagnosis?
Yeah,
Gonorrhea herpessyphilades.
Oh my Lord.
Gonorrhea herpessyphilades.
Not this again. No, but she actually said in the interview with Ranger Collins, she had the psychosomatic diagnosis, but she also said that bipolar, that's what it was. She's diagnosed with bipolar. I don't know enough about psychiatric conditions to know how close schizophrenia and bipolar is, but she was diagnosed as bipolar. She was taking medication for it. And as we all know, what happens to people when they don't take medication when they're diagnosed with things like that. But anyways, we have another question.
Yes, we have another. Thank you, Charles from Cleveland.
Thank you, Charles.
We're gonna let that slide.
Thank you, Charles, from charge.
Yes,
in Cleveland.
Okay, last question of the night. Oh, this starts out with one of my favorite sentences, so I'm gonna have to do the voice again.
Uh-oh.
JT from Caddo Mills asks, "What the hell?
What the hell?"
Judge Beacom wanted to know how much longer Catherine Ferguson was going to take in cross-examination of Dr. Salzberger about the sword markings. This was a murder case, and he had other personal business he needed, this was a murder case, and he had other personal business he needed to tend to in the middle of it."
Well, I don't think it was personal business. I think it was judge stuff that he was, having to. But he had attorneys that had emergency protective orders and stuff like that. And I guess they were waiting in his chamber. Maybe he said, be there at 3:00. They should be done with cross. And then Catherine, of course, goes into 3:30, 4:00. Who knows what the actual timing is? But it was actual court business. It was just one of those things that, if you're in the middle of cross-examining somebody that is really in the crux of this case, the murder weapon, is this the murder weapon? Is it possible that this is the murder weapon? And then, to interrupt that is completely, I think, irresponsible. Now, if this is just somebody I don't know, the teacher at school and so how many years did you know Brandon? Or, that type of thing, then I could be okay, we'll give you a pass. But this is the crux of this case. If you, like I said in the episode, if you can convince one juror that this was not the murder weapon, you got yourself at least a hung jury. And, for Judge Beacom to go in there and interrupt her like that and interrupt the flow and all of that, it's just, I think it was very irresponsible.
I agree. I wonder if he does it with his robe on.
I think so. With the gavel and the,
Now I want to be a judge.
Well, at least he probably leaves the lights on.
They didn't call him the hanging judge for nothing.
In the courtroom. I mean, we're talking about judging, right? When you're being a judge.
You missed that completely, right?
What'd I say?
I said
What'd you say?
They didn't call him the hanging judge for nothing.
I mean, a lot of what you say goes over my head.
I think he's retired. As a matter of fact,
he's retired.
I'm pretty sure he's retired.
Yeah, he's retired.
So, yeah.
He's still alive because I sent him an interview request and he promptly ignored it.
That's what they do. All right, JT from Caddo Mills. Thank you for your question. Thank you guys
JT.
and thank everybody. Shirley
Yes.
from Dallas, Jennifer from Irving, Charles from Cleveland, Debbie from Plano, JT
Plano.
from Caddo Mills. Thank you guys for listening.
Yes, thank you so much. I mean, this, as I say in the beginning of most of the episodes, like it has just absolutely been amazing bringing this story to you guys. I look forward to many more seasons, and I think this is something that, really we need to highlight these cases of people that are convicted, that are innocent, where the criminal justice system just got it wrong.
And I hope they all have sisters just like her.
Oh God, I hope not. This takes the energy out of you, like having to cover this much BS.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of like mowing at 3 p.m. in July. It's just
Takes it out of you.
yeah. All right. So what's this Sunday? It'll be episode 25. 25. Is that right? Jeez,
The
man.
trial part 4.
The trial part 4. This will be the last part. Well, other than the verdict and the closing argument.
The closing argument.
This will be the last part of the trial. Damn it.
And I'm glad that we decided to do the closing arguments like word for word, verbatim from the transcript, because I think, at this point, not everything, but most stuff that people have heard has been from our interpretation of the evidence as it comes in, right? We present the evidence and then we kind of interpret it, what we think, why it's relevant, etc. This is the first time that the viewers and listeners are going to be able to hear directly from the prosecution, from their lips, their synopsis of their case. And I want everybody to take a very interested listen to it, because I want you to try to figure out how many times they talk about Brandon being in that house with the murder weapons, killing his parents. I'll give you a little hint. It's a number greater than -1 and less than 1.
Math.
Everything in the closing arguments is Brandon's a bad dude. He lies about his being gay, lies about
He
his
said
credit
he had a
cards.
truck.
He just wanted that truck, so
That's
he had to
it.
kill his mama.
Wanted a truck.
It's crazy.
It's
But
insane.
we'll talk more about that when we get to that episode.
All right. Well, I think that's all we have for today.
Yes.
So until next time, stay aware
Stay strong.
and get involved.
Yes. See you later.
And buy Starving Zoe.
And buy Starving Zoe. That's right. Amazon.com/see Derick Miller is a badass.
That's right.
You need to get that and see if they'll let you get that URL.
Right. All right. Good night, guys.
Bye, guys.